to Lifting Leaders Podcast, where we're unleashing leader possibilities to make a better world. I'm Tricia Ryan, and together with Crystal Roberts, we're diving deeper into some of the complexities of the world's most critical challenges and exploring innovative ways of navigating through them.
Through interviews with experts and leaders just like you, we are exploring what it takes to thrive as a leader today and examining new ways of thinking about how to creatively lead into a more equitable, socially responsible, and sustainable future. And the future starts now.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Tricia. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm feeling ready today.
Ready for what?
I think I'm feeling ready for, wait for it, I'm ready for a break. I'm ready to be refreshed.
Me too. That sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We love what we do, of course.
Yeah, we love the podcast. It's very fun.
There isn't anything more fun right now. I love this thing. And that said, I still need kind of a refresh, I think. You know? What do you think?
I think so. And it's a really positive thing to take a break. And so we feel so strongly in it. We are doing it ourselves.
Yes.
And so in this episode, before we take a break, we are going to talk a little bit about the importance of taking a break.
I think there's nothing more important to talk about than taking a break, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much, we were talking before the podcast episode and about, why is it so important to take a break? And it really is. And I know our listeners are going, yes, it's important to take a break. Yes, we know that. And how many of us really, really take a break? I have friends who only take a day at a time. They might add one day to a weekend and they get a 3-day weekend. And for them, they feel like that's enough. And I would just push back a little and say, I wonder how much better you'd feel if you took like an entire week or 2 weeks off. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would be so amazing to be able to get away from everything. And there's got to be benefits and consequences of taking a break and not taking a break, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We know that from research that we've seen, and although we're not going to share any articles today, which we know is a big shocker, that there are health benefits from taking a break. There's actually research out there that shows us that we come back more innovative. And some of that comes from the fact that we've given our brain a chance to rest, and there's this pause, so that gives it space to actually start to make connections in there, and that we can get insights and inspiration that happens during that time. And sometimes that's caused by actually being exposed to new things if we're out there possibly traveling, or even if you're just sitting in your backyard, but you're really just focusing on what's in front of you and back to nature, or maybe writing poetry or doing things that are different than what you normally do. That breaks up our routine, and our brain loves that. And so we can have sources of inspiration and new insight.
Yeah, I think of that in terms of like if you're looking at a computer or a machine or something, they usually have a button, and it might be a reset button or it might be a refresh button, right? Something like that. And I think that's really what it is. When you hit that reset button, it takes everything back to zero for a minute. And then when you come back, all the junk that was causing it to delay and do all those things that weren't working, those are gone now, and you could start fresh again, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what happens with our brains and our bodies, because quite frankly, you said there are health benefits to taking a break. There are consequences to not taking a break. And those consequences aren't just limited to the person who is not taking the break. And they could be severe. You can be ill. You can get ill from not, giving yourself enough time. You can run your battery out to the point where you're just not as effective because your brain's not thinking straight, right?
Yeah.
You've got all that other non-reset stuff going on in your head.
Yeah.
But it also impacts other people, because when I'm not well or when I'm not feeling well at work, other people are interacting with me differently, or I'm just not showing up the way I should.
Yeah.
And it impacts not just those people I work with, it impacts the organization because I'm not being productive.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about reset is that, or taking a break, is that you're completely away. And if you do what we hope you do, is you will leave your work at the door. And I know it might take a day or two, but leave it out of the picture. If you've got a work cell phone, put it in a drawer or out in your car or somewhere where you don't have to look at it, and just get away from it for a little while, because that is how resets happen, is getting away from any influence that's going to take you right back to work mentally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know oftentimes, and I've been there myself for sure, I feel like, oh, I'm just too busy. I can't afford to take the time off.
Yeah.
I've got big projects going on. I've got deadlines I have to meet. And it seems impossible to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that, from my own experience anyway, that the work will still be there when I come back, right? 2 weeks later, whatever, 1 week later, it's still there and it's ready for you. But now I have a little more energy to actually tackle those challenges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you should say the work will still be there. That's regardless of just taking a day off or taking a week off or more, right? It is going to be there. At the end of the day, your job is work.
Yeah.
It's only work. And it's not going to go away. You're going to come back the next time you come back, and it'll be sitting in your inbox or wherever it sits, and you'll be able to tackle it at that time. It's probably unlikely, unless you've got some kind of really amazingly important job and I mean, like, the floodwaters are going to open up if you don't take care of it, or, the sun may get closer to the earth or something, or something like that. I'm just making it up. But most of us can leave our jobs, and somebody else will be taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. And when we come back, our work will still be there, and we can pick up with a full battery.
Yeah. And it's amazing time, as you said, that hopefully there's things that other people can pick up. So if we can delegate, it's an opportunity for somebody to actually step in.
Yes.
And to learn what it's like to be in your shoes for a little bit. Yeah. And they get to gain some new perspective, maybe make some new connections and relationships, and oftentimes gain appreciation for what you deal with. And sometimes people are like, hey, I loved it or I didn't. And they get to know a little bit about what it's like to be in that leader role. So
I think you were looking at people that are notable people, I believe, that have actually do believe or are committed to taking time off, right?
Yeah.
And I think, we look at our leaders as a model, a role model for what we want the rest of our workforce to look like, basically, right? And they need a point of reference, because if they've never seen it, they're not going to know what it looks like. So we believe leaders should actually, lead the path or lead the charge and take time off, right?
So powerful. It really is. And we know that if we're just saying, oh, make sure you take your vacation, and I encourage you to take the vacation, but you're never taking time off, people feel compelled to stay and to do the same thing. So it is. We have to go first. We were inspired by Brene Brown, actually, to take a break. So she actually, a couple years ago, took, I think, a 3-month sabbatical from her podcast, but also from her work. And while you and I are not going to take 3 months off of our work, we are going to take a couple months off the podcast. I thought, if Brene Brown can do it, we can do it too.
Yeah. We'll be gone, I think, essentially for 6 weeks, something like that, which is good, maybe 6 or 7 weeks. But, I think that's a good break. And you're right. It's a long time. It seems like a long time, but we haven't done this kind of a break before. And last year we did 4 weeks or 5 weeks. So this year, the way the calendar is set up, we're ending up getting a little bit more time. Yeah, and I think Brene Brown is like a great example of somebody who has, everybody who follows her knows her, and they know how committed she is to, helping people grow in the most amazing ways. The kind of growth that sticks with you because she's just happened to hit the nail on the very thing that you do or you don't do. I love her. I love following her, but I think it was good for her followers, millions of us, to hear that she was committed to doing that.
Yeah.
And I think you had a list, didn't you, of other people?
I've got a few other people. So Bill Gates, actually, obviously the co-founder of Microsoft, he's known for Think Weeks, and that's where he takes 2-week-long retreat every year to kind of rejuvenate, but also to really think about new ideas and do a little strategic planning.
It's a great idea.
Marissa Mayer, who's the former CEO of Yahoo, she took vacations as well, and she took them periodically. So they said one week every 4 months, and she believed that helped her return to work with renewed energy and focus. We know he's very controversial, but Elon Musk also is very supportive of vacations. Jeff Bezos is quoted as taking 2-week vacations every year. Richard Branson, of course, the Virgin Group founder, he, makes total sense that he travels a lot for fun too, not just for his work. Some CEOs that are known for this: Reed Hastings from Netflix, Sheryl Sandberg, former COO of Facebook, and of course she's a big advocate. And I loved that this person came up was Herminia Ibarra.
You're kidding, really?
No.
Oh my gosh.
So she came up,
Wow.
the Global Leadership Institute. So they said, well, not a CEO herself. And of course, she's a leadership expert, but she talks a lot about the importance of executives taking rejuvenation break, and it leads to breakthroughs in innovation and strategic innovation. So
some of the
just a
things,
few people.
Yeah, some of those folks, you were quoting the amount of time that they're taking off, and I'm thinking, it's good. It's not as long as we're going to get to take this year, but it's still, if that gives them enough of a break. That made me think about, I know that our country is a little different from a lot of other countries. And so I went digging a little bit to see what other countries do, where they get more time off. And there were many. There are very many, 150 countries or something actually get, I think there were 75 of those 150 countries that actually get more time than we typically take in the United States. But what I did find interesting was, we were talking about the whole idea of a sabbatical. We've heard that word a lot, and I know in like college professors often will get a sabbatical where they take time off and they do some research or they explore or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I wondered what companies within our own country offer sabbaticals to their employees. Yeah. And so we're not trying to get you to go out and try and get a job at these organizations, but unless that's really what you want. But just a few companies that offer sabbaticals to employees. Bank of America. They have, after 15 years, they have a 4-week program for a 4-week sabbatical. That's time off that a person gets. Some of these companies offer that time off without pay. Mm-hmm. Some offer it with partial pay and some with full pay. So Blue Cross Blue Shield offers 4 weeks after 5 years. Blue Dog Design offers 1 month after 5 years, because the CEO, Michelle Hayward, is absolutely committed to celebrating those 5 years with time off. I thought, wow, nice. Yeah. A couple of other ones. Charles Schwab has 28 days after 5 years. That's nice. Yeah. Nice time off. Cliff Bar, the energy bar. Yeah. They have 6 to 8 weeks after 7 years. and they can spend that time with their families, travel, or accomplish long-standing personal goals. No strings attached. I think that's kind of cool.
I love that.
There were a couple that we see here in our area. One was General Mills, and we don't have General Mills in this area, but 6 weeks after 4 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I thought that was pretty generous, actually. Genentech in the Bay Area offers 6 weeks after 6 years. Also, Intel has 8 weeks after 7 years and 4 weeks after 4 years. So
wow.
That's pretty generous, I think.
Yeah, I have a friend who works for Intel, and she was saying that a lot of times people take their vacation time with that sabbatical so that they actually extend that and they allow that, which is really cool.
I think that's really cool. I think it's a great idea, especially if you've been wanting to take that lifelong vacation and go somewhere that you've never been, or just spend time with people you never get a chance to see, but you need some extended time. It gives you. I have friends who take extended vacations every year to work on their bucket lists.
I love that.
Yeah, and so they have a bucket list vacation every year. I think that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
They had a couple that we know, Patagonia, the outfitter company. They their sabbatical length 2 months off to participate in their environmental internship program.
I love that.
Yeah, so you get time. The time off is the time away from your actual job, so that you can do something that's great for the environment. And they have different programs, and you pick the one you want to work on, which I think is very cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And I think there were just a couple more like that I thought were pretty interesting. 25 days after 5 years at Purina.
Interesting.
Yes. So, when you're done working on the next dog chow or whatever Purina does. Right? They also farm animal feed and stuff like that. So, but that's a pretty cool time away. REI does a 4-week thing after, paid off, that increases to 5 weeks after 20 years. So you get after a certain number of years, you get 4 weeks off, I guess, every year until you hit the 5 years, and then you get another week. So, but there are so many of them here. I couldn't believe that it's like this just offered the first 75.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few, and the sabbaticals range anywhere from like 2 weeks to up to 2 months, depending on where you're working. And they have some that add more time incrementally. So if when you get to the 5-year mark, you get this much. When you get to the 10-year mark, it's twice that. Plus you get a bonus. And then every 5 years after that, you get a little bit more time, which I think is awesome. I'm just wondering at what point in my career I would actually be on sabbatical longer than I'm working.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I think the other thing that is interesting when I'm listening to you talk about those companies is, one, those are all successful companies, right? It doesn't seem like anybody's hurting because they're treating their employees like this. And they're companies that care about the environment. They're sort of like make a better world kind of companies. And I love that they extend that to their employees. That's cool.
I love that you called that out. It's true.
Yeah.
I think that most of the companies that are listed on there have commitments that are much bigger than their product or their service.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful way to, to get employees to want to work in an environment like that. And I imagine if they're offering sabbaticals, if you're on duty, if you're in your job, you're probably having a pretty rich experience as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's cool. I'm glad that you found that. So what are you going to do with your time off? I know, like we said, it's not that we're going on vacation for 2 months, but we are taking a break from the podcast, so we'll have a little bit of more time back.
Yeah. I thought about it. I was thinking about going away at one point, and I thought, no, you know what? This year I really want to be here. I've toyed with going back down to see my family in San Diego, but I think I'm probably not going to do that till later in the year. I'm wanting to. I said this before on the podcast, so anybody who's been a devout listener will know that I've been trying to learn how to play the viola for a long time. I played it in college, and I haven't played it in a long time. So I've been practicing a little bit, and I want to get better at it. I want to learn rock viola. I really want to. I want to do modern music with the viola.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it with violins and stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the richness that a viola offers, that the violin is a little too shrill for me. And I'm an alto, so you would think, why do I want a soprano instrument when I can have an alto instrument? That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. And I'm committed this year to doing some writing. I haven't really decided which direction it's going to go. It might be music and it might be poetry. I haven't decided yet. I've been thinking about that. And then, of course, the staycation that it's going to be. I will be working in my ever weed growing yard. My paradise.
You can never say that you can't grow anything.
I know. I can't grow most things, but boy, do I do great with weeds. How about you, Crystal? What are you planning to do this year?
We're going to get out on the water. We're going to do some kayaking and boating. I do this thing every year. I think I've shared this before on the podcast, but it's called family camp. Yeah. So even though the kids are grown, they're going to come back. We have Chance coming in from Colorado with his girlfriend, and Sydney and Maddie are coming with their partners, and we all kind of camp out at the house. And we do go to the lake and go swimming and things like that. But it's really fun. It's just really fun to experience all of them together, which is really cool, under one roof. And we just hang
especially
out.
now. I mean, they're all adults.
Right. It's so unique, right?
Yeah.
And we roast marshmallows and all those kind of fun, campy things. So it'll be fun. Ari and I, we like to take drives. And so we have a couple of drives planned, which are just day trips. And we have our favorites up in the woods and stuff. So a lot of nature stuff because, we have such few months of good weather here in the Pacific Northwest.
And we live in the most beautiful place. It's gorgeous here.
Yeah. And we used to always leave during summer for vacations and stuff. And we're not doing that anymore because it's so beautiful here. Yeah. So we were like, well, no, we're going to stay here. If we go on a trip, we'll do it when it's not beautiful here. And gardening. So we did get a garden in this year, so we'll be tending to that. Yeah, I think just some time reflecting and being in the backyard. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really hope that the people who are listening to this podcast right now are thinking about time they want to take off. If you haven't already taken time off this summer, we've only had a short time in our summer so far. What, a week, two or 3 weeks? Yeah. But I think that it's not a bad idea if you haven't already planned one. Even if it's a staycation. Staycations are fun. I love them. And just consider taking some time off to refresh. It's so important. And you'll be so glad you did. You'll go back you'll have a different attitude about work, I think, when you go back. I do. I always do.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a time of do things that, even if they're small things, that bring you joy.
Yes.
Just really prioritize your joy and building relationships. We talked a little bit about that. Reconnecting with some people that you may not have seen for a while. So many fun, cool things that you can do.
There are.
Yeah. Soak your feet in hot water, whatever.
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach. Yeah. So get creative, have fun, grab a friend, go do something, but take a break. Take a break and come back to work and to life refreshed.
Well, and I'm going to miss everybody, but I'm going to do my best to power through until we have to come back. I'll tell you, I have, as much as I love doing this, and trust me, I do. And I think you and I talk about that just about every time we get together, how much we love what we do. I am looking forward to some time off.
Yeah.
I really think it'll be good for us, and it will be rejuvenating. My battery will be 1,000,000% full when I get back. So let's keep that conversation going after we come back.
And tell us, send us an email, connect with us, send us a DM on social media. We'd love to hear what you're doing, or send us a picture.
Yes.
We'd love to see how you're spending your summer.
So after we come back, let's keep the conversation going, okay? If you have questions or comments about our show, you can find us on all our social media channels at lifting_leaders. We have so many exceptional podcast episodes coming up with more fantastic guests, so be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. If you know someone who would find this episode inspiring, share it with them. Text them, email them, or take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram or tag us at lifting_leaders. If you'd like to know more about us, our guests, or the show, please go to our website at liftingleaderspodcast.com. You'll find our show notes there as well. If you're looking for help in developing your leaders or would like a growth opportunity yourself through leader coaching, please contact us through our website at www.liftingleaderspodcast.com. Always thanks to Ari Chance Roberts for his technical support of our show. Finally, please take 30 seconds to follow us. It helps you because you never miss an episode. It helps us because you never miss an episode. To follow us, go to the Lifting Leaders Podcast Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen. Then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful. Crystal, thank you so much. It's been a fabulous year so far. I hope you have a wonderful time off.
Thank you, Trisha. I hope you have a great time off too. And we hope that our listeners have great stories to tell us.
Yes, we do. Thank you. We do appreciate all of you listening. Find ways every day and throughout some time off to lift each other up. Have a great time.